Hello, I'd like to welcome you back to the Landon Community Trail where we'll be taking another wildflower walk today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chuck Hulse. I'm a resident of South Hero. I'm a master naturalist and I serve on the board of directors of the South Hero Land Trust. Now while a lot of the early spring wildflowers have gone by, there's still a lot to see in the woods, so let's get started. Before we get started on looking for wildflowers, one of the things I thought I would point out is just how much leaf cover there is now that we're later into the spring. I'm going to say that probably 50% of the leaf cover has come out, and it's getting a little darker at the base of the forest floor, so there's a lot less light, but there are still lots of things to be found. So let's go find our first wildflower. This is garlic mustard. Little white flowers, each flower made up of 4 little white petals. It has this kind of heart-shaped leaf with teeth that go all the way around. It is an invasive member of the mustard family, and it will actually take over pretty extensively if allowed to. So, garlic mustard. This is one of the blue violets, and when you say, well, can I be more specific than that, I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But when we think about violets, violets in the sense can be broken down into 3 colors. So there are yellow violets, there are white violets, and then there are the blue-purple violets. There are 9 blue violets in Vermont. The second thing is whether or not the flower comes out of its own stalk or whether it branches off one of the leaves. So to figure out specifically what of the blue violets this is, there's several things you have to take into consideration. So first, the color, where the stem comes off. The second thing is you have to look to see where the little, if I can do this, where the little spur comes off in the back. The second thing is looking at the internal parts of the flower, and the next is the leaf shape. So this is more heart-shaped, so if I had to make a guess in terms of what this is, I think this is common blue violet. There's a couple of others that could be, but without a hand lens and a closer examination, I really can't tell you more specifically. So we'll say it's a blue violet, most likely common blue violet. This is one of our baneberries. There are 2 baneberries found in Vermont. There are the white baneberry and the red baneberry. They have these globular type flower clusters made up of these little individual flower parts. Without a hand lens and a ruler, it's difficult to tell the red from the white baneberry early in the season. But if you come back in the fall, they'll either be red berries or they'll be white berries. So this, right at the moment, I'm going to say is most likely white baneberry because it's the one that I most commonly see here in the Landon Community Trail. This is wild ginger. Has these classic, beautiful heart-shaped green leaves, 2 of them coming off. But if we go way down here into the leaf litter, we'll find the flower of the wild ginger plant. It's got a kind of the same color as the purple or red trillium. It's got that kind of meat appearance to it, and it lies close to the ground so that bugs can climb in and out and pollinate the little flower. It's called wild ginger because, once again, it has a taste mimic to domesticated ginger, although they're in 2 entirely different families of plants. But that is wild ginger, with the flower being down here under the leaf litter, so you have to look pretty carefully to find it. This is false Solomon seal. It hasn't quite come to full bloom yet, but it has alternate leaves that come off. They have thick veins, which you can see, and then there's this flower cluster, which is at the tip of the plant, which distinguishes it from true Solomon seal, which we'll see in a little bit. So this is false Solomon seal. This is a true Solomon seal, and similar to the false Solomon seal, the leaves come off alternately and they have deep veins, but unlike fall salamanca where there was the terminal flower cluster, if you lift up the flower here, there's little bell-shaped flowers which dangle down from each of the nodes of the leaves. This is sometimes confused with a plant called twisted stalk, but there the part that connects the flower with the stem actually has a little 90-degree bend, which is where it gets its name. So this is true Solomon seal. This is wild Sarsparilla. It's got this classic just 3 globular clusters sitting on the top of a single stem. There are usually a pair of, another stem that comes up with 3 leaflets that come off early in the spring. The leaves will have the same color as poison ivy, and it often gets confused with that. The name wild Sarsparilla comes from the fact that its smell of the root is similar to the Sarsparilla plant that's grown in the areas around Texas and that sort of thing, for which Sarsparilla tea is well known. So this is wild Sarsparilla. This flower is wild Geranium. It has this beautiful pink-purple flower with 5 petals. The flowers actually grow in little clusters, so there'll be more of these on each of the stalks. It has a fairly characteristic leaf, which has 3 to 5 little lobes on each individual leaf. I usually think that this is one of the last forest wildflowers to blossom, but this is wild Geranium. Well, that concludes our virtual wildflower walk here at the Landon Community Trail. Thank you for joining me. This, of course, is the puffball of a dandelion. The dandelions have blossomed their bright yellow flowers and are now turning to puffballs, which shows just how quickly spring comes and goes. The good news is we can come back here later in the fall and look for woodland asters and woodland sunflowers and Indian pipe. And in the meantime, the wildflowers in the meadows will start to be blooming, so we can find black-eyed Susans and ox-eyed daisies and Queen Anne's lace, among other of the meadow wildflowers. So thank you once again for joining me on this walk, and I look forward to going on future virtual wildflower walks with you. Be safe.